Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas. You're watching Vision of Asia, Voice of Community program on ITV Gold. Today is Sunday. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. we bring this special edition of Vision of Asia. And in today's Vision of Asia, we have a special conversation with coronavirus survivor Pramod Bhagat, who talked to us in the presence of Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh. After that part, we'll take you to a special conversation with Dr. Jaya Sarin from Columbia University, how this research scientist feels about various testing methods for coronavirus. Aditi Lama talks to her. We'll have Consul General Sandeep Chakravorty ji sharing all the measures that are undertaken by India and his take on how his office is helping Indian American community here. We will also have part of a session on significance of stillness with Art of Life instructors Aniket Gune and Ruchika Lal. In a very exclusive special conversation, BK Shivani talked to global Indian physicians on COVID-19. We'll have part of that collaborative Zoom conference in today's Vision of Asia. And finally, we will also have Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh telling that lynching of Hindu sadhus at Palghar, the way it has unfolded, is unacceptable. In this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh. All this coming up right after these messages. Stay with us. You're watching Vision of Asia, a voice of the community program. And now we have a part of that special conversation where coronavirus survivor Pramod Bhagat shared his stage 2 reach to coronavirus affliction and how he came out of it, struggled, as well as support of Indian medicine. What was all that? Let us hear from him. And I request Pramodji to join us with his take on what might cause someone to be affected by COVID-19. In your case, was there any way for you to ascertain as to what was it that caused it?
Uh, Definitely, the social distancing is the most challenging part at this time. That was I got exposed in local store on 15th March, and then I got realized after 4 days in Thursday, March 19th, and all the symptom of COVID-19. And thanks to my all friends and families and whatever the practices I did it, that's really helped me, including I went to my PCP, and PCP also had given me some medicines. But definitely this time yoga and increasing the immune with the Giloi and Tulsi has helped me a lot to come out from the second stage. Definitely, otherwise situation will be more worse to go to the third stage. That's doctors have already mentioned about third stage is to just need the ventilations and
Pramod, let me
so.
interrupt you here and let me bring in Dr. Saab once again. In terms of the precautions that one should take if you are detected, one, I am happy that through ITV Gold, we have Pramod Bhagatji with us, who is a COVID-19 survivor. Because many times people get scared that now I got it, meaning I'm not going to survive, or someone in my family who is detected or tested positive. Now, this is a cause for very, very serious concern. Indeed, it is a matter of concern, yet there is a way out, and that's what we are talking about today. So, in terms of the number of percentage of people that don't move towards the other side after COVID-19, and the precautions as far as are prescribed by allopathy, Dr. Sudhir Parikh, what would you say?
Well, I mean, as far as because most of 90% of the patients of the COVID sufferer are usually they get body ache, fever, flu-like symptoms, and very tired and lethargic and so forth. But by doing the symptomatic treatment like a rest, a lot of fluids, warm fluids, then of course making yourself little stress-free by doing some meditation and keeping the fever down. Usually 90% of the COVID patients, they recover within 5 to 6 days. But again, some patient, the misery could be a various degree, means more severe than others. And that time, I think alternative medicine also can be complementary. And of course, if after this initial thing, if your respiration or breathing gets worse, or you cannot breathe, or you have chest pain, or that kind of symptoms, then of course you must go to hospital and take the more aggressive treatment.
So talking about the way of treatment, whether aggressive or you can sort of decide that you would stay home and observe, as is suggested by both of you, meditation and some Ayurvedic ideas, which I would request Pramodji to share with us again. And before you tell us all about that, Pramodji, if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about the symptoms, because there is one asymptomatic, meaning for 2 or 3 weeks people don't even recognize that they are affected by COVID-19. So in your case, when was it that you determined this is the case, and what were the symptoms?
Ashokji, I got exposed, as mentioned, on 15th March, and 19th, it developed the symptom. I had a body ache, fever 103, 102 around, and throat infections. And then realized something is wrong happening. And then I tried my best to find the doctor around for 3 days. I couldn't find it, and I didn't have a test. On 23rd March, when I went to my local PCP, Dr. Peter Perks, and then he took my test, and I got my result on 25th of March, and then it came confirmed the positive. And that time, I know that in the hospitals were situations to be get settled, and no medicines except the Tylenol. And my मेरा तबीयत इतना खराब हो रहा था कि then I was on a totally short of breath and very hard time, fever every 4 hours. I was taking the Tylenol, and then I got some nirdesh from yoga teacher and yoga ashram, Bihar School of Yoga. And my dad, because in my early age I was a yoga instructor also, and like many my friends have suggested to go to the hospital because short of breath already started, and very tough to be take the breath. Almost my 1/4 of the energy to take the breath, that only is left over, and the 3-4 days no sleep, very hard time. Then I took the yoga, that's say kunjal, means just 5-6 glass of water with the salt water. It's a warm water, lukewarm water, and I just drink the water, and then I vomit. That way it cleaned up my system, and that's helped me a lot. Then afterward my fever get reduced to 99 from 102 to 103, and then I get slowly better. At that time I had a lot of weakness, and I don't have any smelling power, no taste for food, and got some friend has given me the Giloi and Tulsi is Ayurveda product. Giloi is helping for the fever reducer as like a Tylenol, and there is no any side effect, and then it's helped me a lot to manage the fever. And then every 48 hours I was doing the Kunjal Kriya, and that's helped me to come out to the whole scenario of this tough time. Definitely I can say I was in about to go to the third stage, but I came out from that stage. That's helped me a lot. And then afterward, a lot of people has requested me, please write all the practices and share to all family and friends. That's why I'm here to sharing you, Dr. Sahib also, as well the ITV Gold and Ashokji, Definitely it's helping a lot of people. And third stage, I always suggest, please go to the hospital, don't delay it if it's in third stage. For second stage, if there is only two solution at this time, according to my experience. First is social distancing is very important this time. Second one is to increase our immune. So increasing the immune, giloi, tulsi, chavanpras, haldi milk, kada, that's very important to fight. And kunjal is a really, we can say, is a sanjeevani. If is somebody has to do in a first level or second level, definitely they will come out to danger zone. Otherwise, in a danger zone, everybody knows on the media and all doctors and our all doctors are is this time is a god. All medical doctors, they all are helping many patients, but still the numbers nowadays, is all totally transparent to the whole world. So these two facts is a really is working very great, and I am totally tested on this. And India also, all the peoples are accepting, and that's why India numbers are very controlled. And even our whole for Ayush Mantralaya website also, they have updated all the details. So that way, whole world can save on this situation to go to the third level on oxygen and like a ventilator. Definitely the first, second level is a very better. If somebody is having this kind of the symptom, better to be do it immediate. Don't take relax. Just start fighting with the COVID, and they will come it easily from first or second level if they do this kind of the practices. Because in this time, energy is totally no able to do any yoga, any pranayam, any yoga exercise, because body energy is totally lost. So only to be just increase the immune with this giloi, tulsi, chavanpras, haldi, kada. That's our honorable PM also is one speech he's mentioned that. So this is a really helpful at this time.
Research scientist from Columbia University, Dr. Jaya Sarin, talked to Aditi Lamba about testing methods for coronavirus and all the issues surrounding it. Here is part of that conversation.
My first question to you would be, what are some of the unknowns right now in testing as we speak?
Yeah, so at this point, in terms of testing, what doctors can say is that even if we can test somebody right now and tell them that they have, antibodies against the coronavirus, what we cannot yet say for sure is what levels of the antibodies are required for the person to be protected from a second case of COVID-19. So we don't know how long people are safeguarded, and that's what we're working on now to determine.
Right. And, just again, looking at these cases currently as of, Tuesday, we have about 2.5 million cases globally. These are the stats that are coming in, 177,000 deaths globally. In the United States, we have nearly 800,000 cases as of today and over 42,000 deaths. Dr. Jaya, in terms of looking at these numbers and in terms of seeing the amount of, impact this, this disease has had, how should we be truly processing these numbers and also protecting ourselves?
Yes, so these numbers are sobering. These are scary, unusual times. And I think the most important message for the community at large and for our own South Asian community here is that we really need to follow the guidelines around physical distancing so that us in the medical community can defeat COVID in a systematic and effective way. And, physical distancing does not equate to social and emotional distancing. I encourage people to maintain their connections with their social networks through web-based platforms and social media outlets during these difficult times.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit more about testing now. You are doing some amazing work in testing, and it is not the normal testing that we're hearing, which is just to test if somebody has COVID-19. Those testing locations and the testing we've heard everywhere about. Talk to me about what is happening at the Columbia University Medical School, and what is the specific testing that you are working on?
Yeah, so on testing, there's two types of tests. So there's the diagnostic test for COVID-19, which identifies the presence of viral RNA and checks for active viral proteins within a sample. And that determines whether or not a person is currently sick and at risk of passing the virus to others. And then there's the antibody test that helps health experts better assess how many people have contracted the novel coronavirus. This test can help us get a better sense of how and where the virus has spread. It can also help us identify hotspots, allowing for increased testing and contact tracing in the hardest hit areas. And the goal for the coming days is to ramp up antibody testing from hundreds to thousands to 10,000 tests a day.
Antibody testing. So this is, again, something that we are hearing in national news everywhere. Can you exactly explain what exactly is happening in terms of antibody testing? And also, is this the way to truly reopen? As, again, reopening is a huge issue right now. We have states that are opening, as of this coming weekend. What do you have to tell us about antibody testing?
Yeah, so antibody testing is when a person has been exposed to the virus and their own body recognizes that pathogen and develops a response to that virus, so that if they're exposed again to that virus in the future, ideally the body would be able to tag the virus and fight it off in a more seamless manner. And so, if we can get accurate, reliable antibody testing out there, this will help the health experts better assess how many people have contracted the virus and, help guide public health officials, to phase reopening. The concern right now is that doctors cannot say for sure how long the levels of antibody actually stick around in the body, and really what level of antibodies is required for the person to be protected from getting, COVID again in the future. It is thought, however, that a higher initial titer, will take longer to wane.
So are you basically testing for immunity in these patients, patients that are not tested for COVID?
Yes. So what we're able to do with antibody testing is to check if somebody has been exposed to a virus and then developed an immunity to the virus. So they can, whether they're asymptomatic or symptomatic, if we have a reliable, accurate antibody test, we can, we would be able to assess that in the population.
And that is serology, exactly, that you're working on.
Yes. So the primary means of checking for antibodies is through serology, which is through, looking at some, through getting blood or plasma from a patient and checking for antibodies in that. There are, other bodily secretions that have the presence of antibodies, but we're not yet sure if they'll have enough of a titer for us to make those conclusions. So for example, saliva also can have certain antibodies present in it.
Consul General Sandeep Chakravorty has reinvented his office, and his office is providing services as well as engaging community members towards the positive direction in several creative ways. He talked to us about India and how India is facing this challenge head on and is being appreciated by the world community. Here is a part of that conversation. Now, talking about approach that America and India adopted to counter the challenge posed by corona virus, if on the face of it, would you say that there has been a different approach adopted by respective governments?
You see, the situation in every country is different, and the response of every country is different. I would like to focus my comments on what India is doing. India, as you know, is a dense country with 1.3 billion people. And, our government, our leadership has shown the path for many countries. And I was talking to my colleagues in India recently, and they were telling me that many countries are just following what the playbook India has devised to deal with the crisis. So India has, in a way, our response is sui generis. There is no model that we have been using because you see that we could not use the China model because of how the way the country is structured. And we could not also use some other models which didn't seem to have given results. And I'm talking about some of the European countries. So we had to to find a solution for our own country. And there you see our Prime Minister's leadership has shown, and also many chief ministers have shown leadership, and we have so many success stories coming out of India where our chief ministers have been on the ground and trying to solve the problems of people and trying to contain the virus. So if you see the statistics, the rate at which cases are doubling has actually reduced, or the number of days have increased. Earlier, there is the Brookings Institution, and Shamika Ravi is coming out with this data. It's a very reliable data. We could use it. And there I saw that a few days back it was 4 days doubling, then it became 7, and yesterday I saw it was 10 days. So the rate at which the virus is growing is less. And our strategy has many elements to it. One, of course, which is very one on everyone's lips is the lockdown. But we have a medical strategy. We have isolation beds. We have ICU beds. We have ventilators. We are having a medical approach. We are using testing. We are using medicines. ICMR has allowed several medicines to be used. There is work going on vaccination. There is cooperation, international cooperation, particularly in this context with the United States. So there is that level, and also there is this huge program of the government to support people whose lives have been disrupted by the lockdown and by the coronavirus. So millions of migrants are being housed in camps, and they are being fed. The numbers are staggering. I don't even want to mention the numbers, but there are millions of people are being supported. Money is going into their bank accounts. So huge operation is on in India. And I think because you see, what I want to say is that India has to succeed in defeating COVID. If India fails, then the world will fail, because we are 1/6 of humanity. And it is very important that the COVID virus expansion is stopped in India, because otherwise it will have very, very grave implications and ramifications for the world. So I think our leadership is conscious of that. We saw the leadership of Prime Minister in the SARC initiative. We saw the leadership of Prime Minister in the G20 initiative. And he has been talking to all world leaders. And India is also, despite being in this difficult situation, we have not forgotten our friends. Medical equipment and medicines have been shipped to 60 countries. Whereas we need all these medicines also. We are aware of our international responsibilities, and we are making special arrangements to ship medicines to far-flung countries. But I think our focus is domestic, and I think our performance has so far been good.
Sandeep, as we move towards the concluding part of our conversation, I would request you to share your experience of having worked with Indian American community members, be it medical professionals or people from business world. How happy you are, or what is the additional suggestion that you may have for our community? And allow me to add, those who are feeling low, be students or those who have lost job, how would you help them look at it with a different paradigm?
Thank you for this important question. I would like to say that there is need for more coordination, particularly as some of our people are sick, our doctors are sick, our community members are sick, and for instance, there is need for plasma donors. Now we did not have a mechanism where people can communicate very freely with each other, and the communication happens only in pockets. So I think post-COVID or during this time, we need to come up with some very fluent communication structures where it's not that people we don't have the resources or people do not know. It's that some people have the resources and others do not know. That kind of a situation has emerged, and we have been fortunate that because we connect to lots of groups. We have played a coordinating role, but I think it should be played more within the community rather than through the consulate. So that is one point. I also want to say that this disease has affected our community, our doctors, our nurses. They are the front line. They have been sick. A lot of our people have been sick, and this is it's also a moment of pride that our people have given their lives for treating others. And please do not be lax. Please follow the stay-at-home advice. Please use masks if you go out, and maintain social distance and personal hygiene, wash your hands. I think it's very, very important. That's the only way you can stop the virus from infecting you, because it's not that it's happening to others, it's happening to us, it's happening to you, it's happening to me. And we should be very, very careful. I think this is the message that, people have been lax, people have been thinking that, ये मेरे को नहीं होगा, औरों को होगा, and सब कुछ करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. It doesn't matter if you can't go to Patel Brothers pick up your grocery. It really doesn't matter. You can live on pizza, you can live on bread. Just make those choices which are good for you, and do not make mistakes. Because I know we have people in our consulate who have fallen sick, and it's a terrible thing to be in. And all of us know, Ashok, you also know, many of your friends and our common friends have fallen sick, and it has been very difficult, arduous journey for them, and some have recovered and some have not. So I just want to say, all of you who are listening to us, be careful, take the precautions, and if you live, you can fight for another day. Jaan hai to jahan hai, as Prime Minister Modi said.
Aniket, Gune, and Ruchika Lal has worked with community members as instructors from Art of Life Foundation, and helps them connect with that inner stability and poise which is need of the hour. Here is part of a special session for ITV Gold on significance of stillness with this couple. In addition to social distancing, what I think we are learning is self-distancing. Self-distancing, now getting into the terminology which is prevalent in the spiritual orbit, it is Sakshi Bhav, or being a witness. Now, being a witness is good as long as other things are all right, in terms of you don't have any imminent threat or danger, or you're not fighting for survival on financial situation, etc. So we sometimes think that the ideas that we are exchanging, like you're talking about awareness, etc., these are good if everything is going good. Otherwise, these are platonic ideas and they don't make a pragmatic or practical sense. So how would you respond to this? Call it a theory. I'm not saying that this is the way it is, but that's the way a common mind thinks.
Yes. The job of the world is to pull the senses away and keep you stuck into the world like a iron filing on a magnet, right? So anything that is happening around us actually is making us kind of go out and kind of get divided in terms of like our equanimity, right? But the trick over here is, in some ways, the more that happens, the more that mirrors in our life. And the more you're able to actually take the reins of those senses and go back inward, the more the outward starts mirroring what your insides are reflecting. I mean, Gurudev talks about this, right? He says, dhara is something that flows outward. Our senses flow outward. But the reverse of that is radha, which is longing for what's inside.
Wow, beautiful.
So when you take those senses inward, suddenly it finds refuge, it finds rest. And what happens, I wouldn't say automagically, but what follows is your environment starts behaving in that way. So a lot of times these things are considered esoteric, right? It's a theory, it's not practical. But I can tell you, sitting in New York City, being somebody who has a compromised immune system, who is in a very high pressure job, being in the hub of the epicenter, having friends actually who have this knowledge, who are learning again techniques taught by Gurudev. They're going to the front lines. This knowledge is the saving grace for them. In spite of what's happening around, this knowledge is keeping them solidified. And because of that, they're actually able to influence their environment. And that to me is the practicality of what we are talking right now.
I think sometimes we need to go beyond our repetitive thoughts, and that is what we say is a sense of stillness, and the strength comes from stillness.
Yes.
A tree is in a position to offer shade and whatnot because it is grounded, and there is a sense of stillness in its roots. That's why the tree is a tree. And talking about practicing stillness, Ruchika ji, one is mental stillness, and another, of course, is physical stillness. Talk to me the importance and significance of practicing stillness.
I think I think for me, stillness has been much more about the mind, right? Because the mind and the body are interlinked. So sometimes you can use the body as a way to bring the mind back, but the body is always in the present. It's the mind that is not still. Of course, there can be restlessness in the body too, but it's normally the mind that is kind of taking us all over the place, right? There is no lockdown for the mind, even at this time. In fact, if anything, it's going even crazier. So how do you bring your mind back to the present? And when you are in the present, then there is stillness. There is a pause. There is the bedrock of infinite possibilities. All of that is right now. So again, how do you bring your mind, which hates or finds it really tough to be in the present, come back to the present? And for me, again, some of the techniques have been breath-based techniques, because the breath is always in the present. So if you bring the mind back to the breath or the body, which is always in the present, it will come back to the present. But again, you can't fight with the mind. The more you fight with the mind, it goes back to what Aniket says, whatever you resist persists. The more you tell it, be here right now, it's like a little bit of a rebellious child. It will not do it. So you just have to let it be sometimes.
So work with your mind, look at it as a child, or whichever technique works for you. But I love this phrase which Ruchika ji just shared, that is, breath is always in the present.
Yes.
If you're breathing, you cannot be saying that I was breathing or I will breathe. This is the moment you are breathing. And this is the moment when I would like to say thanks to this beautiful and energetic and lively couple who has managed to be not just present in the present, but also be a present for the society through what they are doing, spreading joy through inner beauty. As we conclude this conversation, brief words from both of you about significance of stillness and bringing it in our lives.
Absolutely, Ashokji. And I think now more than ever, there's a need. And we are also teaching these online happiness programs that teach techniques where sitting in your couch in your living room, you can actually experience stillness and you can get a practice. So I would love to invite and welcome your viewers to experience some of the programs.
Yeah.
So you want to give Ruchika ji some details where they can have access to these programs?
Yes, you can find them on the Art of Living website. And, if you kind of search for New York or the Eastern Coast Times, you will find them online. The other thing that I would also say, Ashokji, to stillness is you can only give what you have in life, right? So unless you have peace and you have calm and you have joy, you cannot give it. If you are frustrated and if you are angry, that is all you spread. And in today's day and age, what we need is, light and joy and hope, because that's not what the world is feeling. So I think that can be one of the biggest service that all of us do in terms of uplifting other people's minds and giving hope and courage where it might be a little bit of a dark day sometimes. And that can only come when you are rooted in it. So I think it's very imperative that all of us find our own inner strength and joy so that we can give it to other people.
I also have to say you're like a shining example, Ashokji, because in spite of this, we've come to your studio. It feels we are talking in a studio and all you're interested is in having, again, your viewers experience different point of view so that they can elevate and potentially see different perspectives in their lives. So thank you for being like a shining light for us.
So I take this compliment and offer it to all our viewers, because they just said that what you have, that only you can offer. So they gave me light. So I share that light with you. And just as a bonus for our viewers, Ruchika ji and Aniket ji, if you sing for a minute or something, any dhun that helps you get to that meditative mood.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya.
Global Indian physicians worked with BK Shivani for a collaborative Zoom conference for much needed, positively uplifting insight. Here is a part of that conversation.
Let's go to the world before COVID-19 and let's understand the dynamics with which we were living our lives. Most of us were living our lives, and we're not talking about doctors, it's just the world. Most of us were living our life believing that our mind is dependent on situations and people. And we could allow a simple situation like even a traffic jam to disturb our mind. We could allow a behavior from a family member or a colleague to create hurt inside. We could allow our mind to blame the situation and people and hold on to that pain for a very long time and say it's very difficult to forgive and forget. This was our life 2 months before this, which means we were living our life in which we believed that the mind is dependent on situations and people. And that is why society together had created emotions like stress, anxiety, fear, pain, hurt, and labeled it as normal because the world was not perfect for them. Their world was not perfect. And so not being perfect inside seemed so normal. And we were living that life. And then here comes a situation which has hit the world together. So it's not a personal situation, not a country situation, but a global situation. And now again, in this situation also, the crisis is outside. That's the truth. But here again, we have made our mind dependent on this situation. And we said when there is a crisis outside, it's normal to feel pain, anxiety, stress, hurt. And because we all said it together, now it was not 1, 10, 100,000 people saying it. Now it was the world saying it together. Fear is normal, anxiety is normal. Not for a day, but for a month or more than a month, 2 months. And so globally, we're creating a vibration of fear and anxiety. In a time when we want to heal people, in a time when we need high immunity system, in a time when we want our healers to have very high intuition power because they don't have enough medical evidence as to what method they are going to use. They have to use their intuition power with every individual patient. So in a time where we need intuition, we need healing energy, we together as a world have created fear and anxiety because we said, is the crisis outside means chaos inside. More than me, each one of you has enough evidence in your life of medical practice that state of mind affects bodies, and which means the energy that we are creating right now is an obstacle in our healing. Faith can heal people. Fear can slow down the healing process. You all have seen enough magic in your life where there were cases which medical science felt were difficult, but the powerful mind created miracles there. And there were cases which were simple, but their own troubled, stressed minds created complications with their body. So we have enough evidence that it's not a virus which is only of the body. the role of the mind in healing people. But how do we heal people when globally together we are creating fear and anxiety? So I personally feel we are sharing with everybody, but it's the healers which need to share it with the world, that if you want to heal people, if you want to finish this, if you want everyone to remain protected, then the one top responsibility of the world right now is to start creating calm here. If we have peaceful minds, calm minds, powerful minds, we will be radiating healing energy. When we do not have enough evidence of medicines and practices, then let's use the power of the mind to create the healing, because mind also is playing a role in the healing. But before we are able to radiate that message to everybody else, we as healers will first need to take care of our own minds. The need of the hour, first and foremost, is a change in vocabulary. Because of constant consumption of content from media and social media, and then of course you are seeing everything around you day in and day out, our vocabulary right now is not at the best vibration. So every word we are creating in our mind and every word we are speaking out is at a very low vibration globally. Tough times, challenging times, crisis, these are our normal vocabulary now. Every 2 sentences seems to have these words in the vocabulary. And when our constant vocabulary for a month or 2 months starts becoming low energy vocabulary, then it starts taking a toll on our energy field. Which means the first thing, it starts taking a toll on the energy field of the healer. Just the vocabulary we are using. And then with that energy field, you have so many situations to take care of, new ways of healing, methods which are yet not clear. Like Dr. Sybil said, you have to wear that gear, which is not the most comfortable one. You're not able to touch people, so you have to change your way. So much more to be done outside. So the more we have things to manage outside, we need a very high energy vibration here, and which will only happen if we first start changing our vocabulary, which means our every thought and our every spoken word. We all know the power of blessings. We all know the power of mantra. We all know the power of affirmations. So what is mantra? What is affirmation? What is blessings? They are high energy words. They are high energy words. So even when there was any situation in life, somebody would give us a mantra. They say, you chant this mantra. Oh, but I'm not well. They would say, okay, never mind. You chant this mantra is for health. So what did they ask us to do? They asked us to think and speak high energy words that would radiate healing energy. All of us right now are praying, are chanting, are meditating. We're all doing that in our own ways. But how much time are we able to do that? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Rest of the day, we are on the field. So our affirmations and chanting and mantra cannot be restricted to 15, 20 minutes. Our vocabulary now would need to be a vocabulary of affirmations, blessings, and mantra, which means high energy words, because it is our high energy words and thoughts which will become our protection. We first need to protect ourselves. Protect ourselves not just from the virus. That gear will protect us from the virus, but protect ourselves from the vibrations that we are surrounded by right now. Even those who are sitting at home, they're only able to protect themselves physically, but they're not able to protect themselves from the vibrations. So we need that high energy aura right now. We need to raise our energy field. If all of us together raise our energy field, first, we are emotionally protected. Second, we are mentally protected. Third, that has an impact on our body. And fourth, most important, your high energy vibrations have a direct impact on your nurses, on your junior doctors, and it has a direct impact on the patients, whether it is COVID patients or any other patient walking into the hospital. These are not the times where if you say to somebody, daro mat, sab theek ho jayega, don't worry, everything will be fine. Words are not healing people. Words are not able to change the state of mind of people. But if you are here calm, which means you're vibrating at a higher frequency, and the person that you are meeting is stressed and anxious, but if you're at a higher energy, then the lower energy doesn't flow up, but the higher energy flows towards the lower energy and pulls that person up. So if you really want to motivate your people, energize them, protect them, empower them, words are not needed right now, because words will not be able to do it, but our own energy field, which means our vibration. And our vibrations will create a soothing and calming effect on people. People will be in your energy space and they will get a feeling inside. It's difficult, but I'm sure everything is going to be okay. I'm 100% sure we're going to come out of this fine, because that's a vibration that they will catch, they will consume that vibration from your energy field. So this is a very important responsibility every healer will need to play.
Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh said it is unacceptable the way the news about two Hindu sadhus who were lynched at Palghar in Maharashtra on humanitarian ground. Here is a part of this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh. So, Dr. Another serious news that has come from India is from Palghar, Maharashtra, where two sadhus of Juna Akhada were lynched. When you were following the news from India, you heard about it. What went through your mind?
Well, I mean, it was very shocking, and it is unacceptable in any situation, because that shows that there's complete breakdown of law and order in Palghar, Maharashtra, and local police, local administrative collectors or district collectors or whoever are in charge. They are responsible for responsible, because they're supposed to stop this kind of happening, because they could have escorted those two sadhus wherever they wanted to go, and then they should talk to the local people, those who had whatever doubts they had in their mind, or whatever misconception they had in their mind should have been clarified. And this kind of thing it should never happen and should not happen in the 21st century.
Absolutely, and you probably might have seen some videos that came where one sadhu is holding the arm of one of the policemen, and he is being escorted. His eyes tells you that he is kind of confident that policeman is going to save him, but that didn't happen. Instead, he was let go to be beaten by sticks. So looks like police was aware of what is happening, yet they didn't take proper action.
That's true, and it looks like more like a kind of some kind of pre-planned thing, and but the police officers should not they should have helped them, should have prevented this thing to happen, and that they should have arrested the people who did it, and should be punished by law, maximum punishment, and so no other people can do this thing.
Absolutely. So just staying with this reference a little bit more, now what we have heard is nearly 110 people have been arrested based on the videos, and that action started happening on the part of Maharashtra government after this thing became very big on social media. They have also suspended two police officers, and Maharashtra Chief Minister has in his address on Facebook Live said that this should not be treated as a communal affair. But there is another kind of, I would say, interesting is most of the Indian media have not taken it up as much as they would have taken up if it was a minority who was the victim, is what is another narrative that we hear. Looking at it from the both sides, what would be your impression in terms of the role of media?
Well, I mean, the media should be neutral and should always air or give light to this kind of incidents, because this is nothing to. I mean, media should be nothing to do with any community or color or creed. But this is as a human being, this is wrong.
Absolutely.
And media should make sure highlight this thing and make sure that this kind of inhumane thing should not happen, particularly in India, which is very cultured society, a very old, 5,000 years old culture society. In 21st century, it should not happen.
Absolutely, and now there are more details that will come up down the line. Coming back to America, Dr. Sudhir Parikh, the way President Trump is working on overcoming the challenge posed by coronavirus. Every day he's addressing press conference, and yesterday or day before yesterday, he announced something which appears quite strange in terms of having a 2-month ban even on the legal immigration. Do you think it is necessary? How do you see it is likely to play out?
I think it will play out as a completely political announcement, because 2 months suspension of green card, obtaining green card, has not much meaning to it. And probably in this coronavirus situation, half of the State Department is probably not functioning. So what is 2 months will pass by before even anything can happen. So this is typical, completely political thing, just to galvanize his own base, who are more nationalistic base voters. And I think this is a pure political announcement, has not much meaning to it or not much meat to it. I would not worry, or no Indian American who are waiting for green card should worry about it.
I think that's a very objective analysis, and I appreciate you for that. And as we move towards the concluding part of today's this week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh, as you share your parting words from today's show, I also want you to share the idea of a step-by-step opening back, and we hear a lot in that direction, be it New York State or America as a whole. How do you see that happening soon, later?
I think now since the curve is going down on the downside, that is a good trend, and the number of deaths are less, number of admissions are less, number of ICU admissions are less, number of intubations are less. It means less number of people are going on ventilator. So all this thing has positive trends. So now what governor or authority should do to make sure that people can keep this social distance, wear the mask in public, keep the personal hygiene, and then they should only open up only essential services or businesses. Non-essential should still close in phase 1, and then they should do more testing, more tracing, and isolate those infected people. And then after 2 weeks, if everything is going in the right direction, then they should open up the other businesses. So and so whole opening should take at least 6 weeks time from say whenever they start. So ideally speaking, and that's the only way to do it. If you do otherwise, then virus can bounce back, and then epidemic can be, or pandemic can be worse than what we had in the beginning.
I think that's a fair way of looking at it. And anything that you would like to add as we say bye from today's show?
Well, I would again urge my friends to stay home, keep the social distance, continue your personal hygiene, wear the mask whenever you go out, and follow the instruction of the authority and their guidance. And this is a very dangerous disease. Should not take it lightly. There are too many deaths, and you don't want to be part of that number. So please stay home, be safe. We'll see you next week. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. God bless America. God bless India. Thank you.
And now the time to say goodbye to you, but we would like to remind you that if you are still not a friend of ITV Gold's Facebook page, today and now is the time. Also subscribe ITV Gold's YouTube channel and keep writing to us at events@itvgold.com. Stay safe, stay at home, keep observing social distance and all the relevant measures to support America, to support the world in fight with this invisible enemy. With lots and lots of good wishes, time to say goodbye. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.